Have you guys heard about this? Algerian boxer wins controversial Olympic fight after the Italian opponent quits in 46 seconds. And guess why? Because the Algerian boxer is actually a trans woman, also known as a man. Yes, that's right. The Olympics let Algerian boxer Iman Khalif fight in the Olympics in the women's Olympic match. And he hit this Italian fighter so hard that she fell to the ground. She took her helmet off, she threw it to the ground, and she said, I just can't do this. This is absolutely unfair and unjust. And she quit the fight. And I don't know if I blame her. I feel like in a world where today, if you're scrolling on social media, it's a few things that you hear us talking about. Social media, YouTube, the news. You're talking about Kamala's race. You're talking about Donald Trump bringing up Kamala's race. And what we're not talking about are the things that should matter to American citizens when picking presidents, when we're picking our politicians as a whole. And one of those things that's huge, is, do we let men fight in women's sports? Men who could not win in male sports. They transition. They become a transgender woman, which technically means they are a man. Should they be allowed to participate? I absolutely say no. And I think this is something when we go back to the crux of who are we as America? What is America? What does America stand for? And this is when at some point we have to put our foot down and say, we don't stand for just anything. Now, though this happened in Paris at the Olympics and it was between Algerian and the Italian, this is a conversation we are having regularly in the United States, and something that I know conservative values are absolutely against. If you are a man, you should be fighting against men. If you are a woman, you should be fighting against women. But this is what we're dealing with today. So with this specific person, people I see all over social media, they keep saying, oh, it's a woman, it's a woman, it's a woman. It's a trans woman. This particular man was barred from fighting in women's competitions and by the World Boxing Association because when they give apparently gender test, when they did the gender test, they came back with XY chromosomes. You know, XY chromosomes mean you're a man. Now, Algeria is saying this is not true and it was a trick because they didn't want Algeria to win. And ultimately, initially, the Olympics said no, and they threatened to sue, and they reversed it and allowed him to fight anyway. And here you go with this man with testosterone. Men are naturally stronger than women. Throwing blows, hitting this woman in the stomach, in the face, in the nose. And in 46 seconds, she gave up. And we really have to stop and say, what are we going to stand for? Are we going to cower to threats? Are we going to cower to suits? Unfortunately, it's something you see and hear all the time, specifically right now in the midst of a presidential election year when people don't see and think and believe, people bully, people threaten. A friend of mine on TikTok told me she had been doxxed. Why? Because people don't agree with her conservative values. What do we stand for as Americans? Who do we really want to be? And do you want to be the person, the same people who historically say men shouldn't hit women, and yet you are allowing a man, because he decided to put on women's clothes and woke up and said, I feel like a woman. This is what my gender identity is going to be. And now he gets to be that and fight against women. Quite frankly, if you can't win against men, fine. But quite frankly, I think that there should be some sort of transgender sports. Let them fight each other. That's fair. But a man fighting a woman will never, ever be fair to me. And how can we be a society that says we are against violence against women, and yet you are allowing violence against women because he's decided to call himself a woman? At some point, we have to put our foot down and say, this is not going to be okay. This is not okay. And we are not going to participate. At some point, we got to put our foot down and leave them to be. No one's bothered. If you want to wake up and think you're a cat or a dog, which you guys do, furries, you do, that is fine. But don't come trying to join women's sports. And it's almost always, if you track it, when these men were men and identifying as men, they could not win in that sports arena. And this was just so convenient to become a woman and compete on the Olympic level against a woman. I don't know. It's just sad. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please let me know. Is this okay? Do you feel like it was okay for the Olympics to allow this Algerian-born woman with XY chromosomes, which science tells us is a man, to compete in the women fighting competition for the Olympics? Let me know below.